After 1 month of fierce fighting, the Russians have failed to seize Kiev and have lost control of a number of settlements in the Kiev region. According to British intelligence, Russian forces also continue their advance on Mariupol, backed by heavy shelling, but the city center remains under Ukrainian control. The General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine has reported about the withdrawal of some Russian troops from Kiev and Chernihiv regions. According to Ukrainians, Russia is having serious problems with troop rotation. Elsewhere, the Russian occupiers are trying to maintain blocking positions, reorganize and regroup their forces. Amid military failures of the Russian armed forces and Moscow's unsuccessful attempts to sign an acceptable agreement with Kiev, discontent is growing in the national republics of the Russian Federation. The number of military casualties in Ukraine from the Republic of Dagestan is 10 times higher than in other federal subjects populated by ethnic Russians. In the 34 days since the Russian invasion of Ukraine, only officially confirmed deaths among military personnel from Dagestan are 89. However, experts say that the real figure of losses is at least 7 times higher. Dagestan is one of Russia's regions with the lowest percentage of ethnic Russians. At the same time, it is the leader in terms of the number of deaths in Ukraine. Moscow is in fact pursuing a policy of utilizing indigenous peoples, thus altering demographic imbalance that resulted from low birth rates among Russians and high birth rates among indigenous peoples of the North Caucasus. The leaders of national movements of Tatars, Bashkirs, Chechens, Buryats, Erzyans, Kalmyks and small peoples of northern Russia have made anti-war statements. The tone of statements varies from discreetly pacifistic among the peoples of the north of Russia to anti-colonial among Chechens and Tatars. Also, a number of sources report about volunteers from among the indigenous peoples of Russia who are fighting on the side of Ukraine against Russian troops. In particular, these are Chechen, Ingush, Tatar and Erzyan volunteers fight in both volunteer battalions and territorial defense forces. The head of Chechnya, Ramzan Kadyrov, known for his threatening videos against Ukrainians, has again claimed to be a warrior fighting in the Ukrainian city of Mariupol. To confirm his words, he published a photo of himself praying next to a machine gun. Military experts questioned the claim that the head of Chechnya was in Ukraine. They noticed the logo of Rosneft on the photo he circulated. However, there are no such petrol stations in Ukraine. Bashkir national movement publicly reflects on new goals and objectives, independence instead of colonial status within Russia. The Bashkirs have published a draft foreign policy program for Free Bashkirstan, which considers potential allies and states with which the Bashkirs should establish friendly relations. The Bashkirs are one of the largest indigenous peoples of the Russian Federation. In an article published today, the leaders of the Bashkir national movement urge the Bashkirs to prepare for a new political reality, in which there will be no Russian Federation as a state. The Bashkir foreign policy strategy consists of two blocks: relations with the states that are already foreign to the present-day Russian Federation, and with those of its regions that one way or another will eventually become states after its reorganization. Turkey, Kazakhstan, Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, Ukraine and Georgia have been designated as Bashkortostan main allies. Bashkir leaders claim that Bashkortostan should ideally become a parliamentary republic, but it will need 10 to 15 years of transitional project type of rule to strengthen their statehood and economy. Let us remind you that similar statements have been earlier made by the public figures from the Tatar and Erzyan national movements. The Tatar Bashkir editorial board of the Radio Liberty published a statement by the Tatar government in exile. The document in Tatar contains appeals from well-known Tatar public figures to both Republican elites and residents of Tatarstan. In that appeal, it is stressed that the invasion of Ukraine by Russians could not break the resistance of the Ukrainian warriors and that representatives of different peoples are fighting on the side of Russia. No one can say exactly how many Dagestanians, how many Tatars, how many Russian Muslims have given their lives for the sake of the empire. In these circumstances, the government of Tatarstan in exile calls on the leaders of the Volga republics to distance themselves from Moscow's policy. After the collapse of the regime, in your remorse, your hopelessness, your words of repentance will be of no importance. You will remain under sanctions. Now you have put yourself and your compatriots in a difficult position. Tatars are urged to prepare for Tatarstan's independence. The default of the Russian Federation is irreversible. In the next few months, Moscow will have difficulty paying not only pensions, but also the salaries of the riot police and the Russian National Guard. Putin will be ousted from power, and Tatarstan's leadership will try not to lose face. What we will hear from the mouths of Minnikhanov, Muhamedchin, Shaimiev, and other Moscow's protégés are the kind of speeches that now might sound like a science fiction, but it would be too late. That's why it's extremely important to organize a strong national movement in Tatarstan today. Tatar National Movement has outlined their main tasks: to proclaim the state independence of the Republic of Tatarstan, secession from the Russian Federation, to subordinate all law enforcement agencies and military formations on the territory of Chechens to the authorities of the Republic, to hold fair and democratic presidential and parliamentary elections in Tatarstan.